Oh man. Okay.
All right. Benton County Commission now at session. Overland Board Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Deborah Bain will give our invocation for tonight.
Bow our heads. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight, God, giving you all praise and all glory and all honor, because you are mighty in words and deeds. And Father, I pray that as we do the county's business, God, that you would make us good stewards of the money that the people have paid into this county, God, that we would supply each and every department, God, according to their needs, Father, that we would make good choices, God, tonight, Lord. And we thank you, Father, for everybody that has come here together, God. And I pray that you do a blessing over each and every one here. Give us godly wisdom, Lord, to take care of the citizens' needs and their wants, and God, the money that, God, we have to go to each department, Lord. And we thank you, Father. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Commissioner Brett Burke, will you lead the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jimmy Keniston. Mike Nunnery.
Here.
Daryl Hicks.
Here.
Jerry Price.
Here.
Terry King.
Here.
Keith Arnold.
Here.
Stephen Stokes.
Here.
Marty Douglas.
Here.
Deborah Bain.
Here.
Smith Miller.
Here.
Rocky Preston.
Shop local.
Brett Burt.
Here.
Frank Lashley.
Brother.
Gary Fur.
Here.
Dwayne Fowler.
Here.
Sonny Hall.
Here.
Bill Melton.
Here.
Roseanne Kelly. Ward.
That's okay. Present.
We have a quorum.
All 18. Okay, next on our agenda is the approval of the agenda for tonight. I need a motion. Motion by Commissioner Nunnery and a second by Commissioner Price. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 1 on the agenda is the resolution making appropriations for various funds, departments, institutions, offices, and agencies of Benton County, Tennessee for the year beginning July 1, 2023 and ending June 30, 2024. Need a motion and a second to bring it to the floor.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Melton, a second by Commissioner Miller.
Miller. Kenneth.
Thank you.
This is the resolution for the, which is number 1 for the various departments and institutions and agencies. Do we have any questions?
Chairman.
Yes?
Would this be the appropriate time to speak on behalf of the budgets?
Well, that would be resolution 2.
This is about spending money in resolution 1.
Yeah, this is resolution 1, spending money for the listing that you have in front of you for resolution 1.
So if he's got questions about spending the money, this is the time for it.
Okay, spending money for these?
Be up to speed.
Yes.
And,
Okay.
I'm here once again in front of you commissioners, in front of budget, supporting the Benton County workers for bonuses and or raises. Budget committee members I encourage you to take a strong, hard look at this budget you brought before us. I haven't missed any meetings since April the 7th. I come home from work. Budget, I'm asking you and reminding you that you can vote against your own budget committee members. Budget members were told and convinced more than once that there are no revenue dollars available to use for raises and or bonuses. And it's just not simply true. Let's send budget back to the bargaining table with a clear understanding bonuses and raises are needed and the county does have the dollars. They're just not being shown in this budget. And the bonuses for our part-time workers, our salary workers, our hourly workers, that's the ones at the jail and the sheriff. I think the bonuses should include Buck Carter's highway department crew of 26, 27 employees. As for the account 127, account 127 is the federal government pandemic dollars. That's what the federal government give Benton County. They give money to all 3,142 counties in the United States. Budget has chosen to spend $2,001,375 of these dollars on 21 projects. And I agree with all of these projects. I don't think any of these projects are as important as the county workers. Not 1 cent on the county workers has been spent for bonuses. And yes, these dollars can be used for bonuses. Budget, after allocating $127, account $127, there remains $341,610 unspent dollars. 175,000 of these dollars has been allocated to resource officers, school resource officers. The school has budgeted for county resource officers. You can find it on page 67, line item 399. It was talked about in the other meeting. The $175,000 that's been appropriated from account 127 can be put back in the unspent pool, given unspent dollars of $516,610. Enough for a very needed, enough for a very deserving bonuses. Budget's largest missed revenue that I see is the TVA dollars. TVA has made 3 payments this year to Benton County. A 4th payment will be made in June, and their dollars will be brought to $1,945,236. The most ever TVA has given Benton County $252,636 more than they gave us last year. Budget has missed this estimate bad. They've underestimated this in the ballpark of $300,000. The budget is using a 6% uncollected rate. Now, I'm going to tell you, for the ones that don't know what uncollected is, uncollected is a percentage number that budget estimates are the citizens that's not going to pay their property taxes. In 2022, the Budget Committee used a 3.5% uncollected rate. The Tennessee State Comptrollers just audited the 22 budget. And Benton County received $129,429 above budget's estimate at a 3.5% uncollected rate. Change your 6% uncollected rate to 3.5, and you'll create $120,950 additional dollars. Also, you'll increase the school's property tax revenue by $77,368. Leaving this with the school raises the school's maintenance of effort. So to avoid that, those $77,368 are moved to the general fund, giving the general fund a property tax increase of almost $200,000. State prisoner dollars. The final budget here before us today shows estimates of $254,000 in 2024, a little less, $249,000. Actual dollars already received is $308,774 with 1 month yet to be paid. The revenue stream is on target to bring in $343,000. That's state prisoners that were collected from keeping them in the jail. Bank excise tax. Actual dollars is $91,392 above budget's estimate. Investment income. Actual dollars that's came in this fiscal year, $530,195. $130,380 just for the month of May. We're on target to bring in $650,000 to the general fund with investment income. Budget has estimates at $306,472 for the 23 year and $400,000 for the 24 year. Debt service has an overfunded amount of $62,809. These dollars could be moved to the general fund. Some of you commissioners support conservative dollar estimates, and so do I. But these are extreme. And why? Why are they so extreme? What's the reason? Just to convince me and to convince the commissioners and the citizens and the county workers that we ain't got money for raises, that we ain't got money for bonuses. 17 part-time workers averaging $11.24 an hour. 15 of the 24 jail guards earning $15.35 an hour or less. Of the 24 jail guards, 7 have been with the jail over 3 years. This confers a large turnover in jailers that we so much hear about. Not 1 cent of this budget is spent for the 17 part-time workers or 36 salary workers. Not 1 penny of this budget is for county workers, part-times, salary, hourly, or the highway department for bonuses. The raises you give to the jail and the sheriff need to be revisited and debated, have a conversation of increasing further. The budget you have brought to us for a vote today reflects a general fund overfunded balance of $98,235 and could easily show $898,235. I have a resolution that went before the commission July the 20th, 2015. It reads, effectively July the 1st, 2016, the cost of living raise to be given annually, therefore based on the state of Tennessee. If the state of Tennessee gives a cost of living raise, then Benton County will follow suit. I asked Budget, what happened to this resolution? Why has this subject not been talked about? Chairman, I even ask you. You sponsored this resolution. That being said, I yield the floor. I rest my case.
Anyone else? Commissioner King?
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, you know, Rocky, I agree with what you're saying. You know, when elected officials get a raise every year because the state of Tennessee says we give them a raise, why do we not give our employees raises? That doesn't make sense, okay? There's people, they're getting anywhere from $5,000 to $4,000 more a year elected. Why can't we do our employees that way? You know, we start out employees at $21,000. Well, according to the 2023 U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Poverty Guidelines, that's in the Federal Registry, a 4-person family, the poverty guideline is $30,000. A 1 person is $14,500. Tell me how anybody can live on $14,500. Okay, I got a good raise in Social Security this year. I got a good raise in the military. It's not fair. How many of y'all got a raise this year from whatever? School teachers going to get a raise. You know, I know the Sheriff's Department employees are going to get a raise. I'm not here to point fingers and say, you know, they don't deserve it. Everybody deserves it. Cost of living hasn't went down. You know, every month I go buy chicken feed. It goes up $1.50 a bag. Okay? But think about groceries. How many, when you go buy groceries? You know, we got folks here that depend on us because, one, they live here, they enjoy their job, but why don't we take care of them? I don't understand why we don't. But I do like that resolution you brought up because I hadn't seen it before. But there's something we can work on that. It just to me it's just not doing our employees right. Okay. Now, question I have is what happens tonight if the budget doesn't pass?
It goes to the entire commission to make the budget. It does not go back to budget committee. This entire 18-member body will be responsible for coming up with the revenues and making the budget.
So what you're saying is that we have to pass it or we don't. Is that but what you're saying is that the commission gets it. From what I read from the private act, we can't take anything away from the budget. We can only add to. Is that correct?
You're very restricted in what you can do.
Right.
The budget does not pass.
But the way I read it is we cannot take anything away from the budget. We can only add to it.
Well, that's correct.
Okay.
Provide the revenue to add to it.
So my question is to everybody, why are we here? Why don't we adjourn this, recess it, table it, and let's all come together, not in a formal meeting, but talk about the budget, how we can do this. That makes sense to me. Why do we have to come up here and vote for it and if it doesn't pass? Where are we at? We're not any better off if it doesn't pass than if it does. I have a lot of questions myself. The first thing somebody's going to say, well, you should have come to the budget committee meetings. Well, maybe I should. Okay, but I do have a life too. Some of the questions I've got, okay. Well, here's a statement. I noticed that we went from last year's property tax of 3.8 million to 4.5. I had somebody say, well, we don't raise property tax. Well, that's true. We don't raise the rate, but we raise what your property's worth. So in essence, you're paying more taxes. Okay? So we do raise taxes. We just don't say we do. Okay? I want to make that statement. Okay? I've argued this for years, but it's true. If we make you where you have to pay more money and your property's worth more, we've raised your taxes. Okay? So I'm going to go by the final draft that I have. I see there's a version 3 out. I've never seen version 2. But anyway, when I say page number, I want to tell you what the account number is and what it is. These are things that I have questions about and that I would like to sit down with somebody and get those answered, okay? One of them, we've got page 15, account 44000, other local revenue, $400,000 in investments. We didn't have it last year. Where'd it come from this year?
Raising interest rates.
Okay. See, that'd been nice to know in the agenda or in the footnotes there. All right. Question on page 29, account 53500, 112. We went from youth services offer of $31,000 to 19. That's minus 12K. All right. What happened there? I don't know.
Would you tell me that department again?
It's youth services officer, 53500, 112, page 29.
I'm pretty sure when Mr. David Johnson stepped down and Beth took his place, and then Jamie Shannon stepped down also, they just hired one person back instead of 2.
Okay.
Yeah, lower personnel.
That would have been nice to know in the footnotes.
Lower personnel.
Okay. Looking and Sheriff, this ain't nothing towards you, but looking at page 32, 54,210, we went from a contract from $131,000 to $180,000, which is $49K increase. Why? This company's supposed to save us money. And I'm not pointing fingers at you, okay?
I believe, Terry, I think I can answer that. We took the nurse in for 4 hours, brought in per week, so that only 36. And we took her up, I think it was 52 hours a week.
Okay.
More coverage for the jail.
My question then is, the other company that we had, did they work the same amount of hours before the increase?
They work 36.
And did they get the job done? Okay. All right, thank you. Moving on down to page 33, 54-240-105, juvenile director. It went up $19,000. Went 14K to 33K. What was that for?
What line item is that? She can look.
It is 54-240-105, juvenile director.
Well, actually, it's a move. If
Okay.
you look on line 111,
Okay.
where it had probation officer, you'll see that there's nothing on those. It's
Mhm.
moving it all into 105.
Okay. I did see the where there was no probation officers. Thank you. That would have been nice to have in the footnotes too. Looking at EMS, okay, on page 38, 55-130. The county mayor got a letter. Says we can't do business no more the way we're doing it. We got to have an increase. Diesel went up 70%. We have never gotten an expense report or a revenue report from the ambulance service or from West Tennessee Healthcare to tell us what they're spending, other than a letter stating July 1st, we're quitting if you don't pay us. Is that the way to do business? I don't think so. There's got to be some accountability. And I'll get into, while I'm talking about accountability, we give $800,000 last year for high-speed internet. What did we get? Anybody know?
$0 out of it.
What did we get? How many people got high-speed internet? Where did it go? And what's the plan for the future? This year, we're going to get $400,000. Say here. That's no accountability. We can't do business this way. There's got to be a plan. We've got in Big Sandy 2 providers going down the same road. Now, how effective is that? Just some things that I see that, we're accountable. Why do we not make the people that do business with us accountable? It makes sense to me. All right. Moving right along. All right. Page 44. Account 58-220-105. Why in the world are we going from $28K to $65K in a salary for the director of the airport and hiring a part-time person for $28K? Anybody answer that? Don't make sense.
I'd like to answer that.
Okay.
Too, Terry.
Okay, go ahead.
I asked at the very start of this budget process, which we had like 25 meetings. A lot of these answers you could have had answers to a lot of these questions if you come to the budget meetings.
I appreciate the invite.
I was at almost every one of them, and it makes you understand it better. Just like one of the other guys was talking about the $175,000 on the school resource officers, that we wouldn't have to give that. That wasn't for school resource officers. It was to equip school resource officers. So even though we have the funding from the schools, we still have to equip them so they can hire them and get their vests, their guns, their tasers and all that. But on the airport, I asked at the very first meeting that if we could get a administrator at the airport to get it back to be self-sustaining. I was a big part of the airport back in the 80s, and it was self-sustaining back then, but we had an airport manager and we had a maintenance person. It's been cut back over the years to where your maintenance person is just doing everything. So I asked about that, if we had the money to move that into there, because we want to we have a $10 million facility sitting out there that we're not even using. And I would like for it to be self-sustaining, and I would like to open a flight school there over this next year. Get all the hangars to pay and rent like they're supposed to, get people using the airport to sell fuel back like it was in the 80s. Have a flight school there where you have people coming from all the counties around to come and take their flight lessons, mainly for the kids. Because if you have a flight school, they've changed, the aviation has changed because they can't find pilots anywhere they're just like every other position that we're having now. You have openings. You can't get school teachers. You can't get different workers at the sheriff's department in different places. They've changed the rules on what it's going to take to have a pilot's license that can actually go to work for Delta. And we can have a school out here at our airport that the kids, when they graduate high school, they can go to this other class and be ready to go to work for Delta, making 150 or 200,000 a year. I just have a vision, if you will, that we could use some of the things we have here in Benton County and utilize them to help our county and the counties around. So I asked for that. I didn't push in any of the meetings. For 25 meetings, I didn't push for it, but it got put in there in the last meeting, and I appreciate that. But if you don't think that that would be a good idea, then we just have a difference of opinion on that.
And I agree. I appreciate your comments, you know, but we do need a plan. Do we have a 5-year plan that tells where we want to be 4 years? No. Why do we not have that? Why do we not sit around and talk about those things? Why don't we talk about where we want to be with the airport in 5 years? I'm all about it. I agree. That's the way we should be doing business. You know, our employers are having to buy groceries you know, too, and they need money for their groceries more than we need a flight school. But we do need a flight school, and I think that's something we can do in the future. You know, I think we just need a plan. We need to sit down, all of us, and come up with a plan to where we want to be in 4 years from now. Instead of come every meeting, this is an emergency, we got to get this contract done, we got to do this, we got to do that. That ain't the way we should be doing business, okay? We should have time to look at things and talk about it and figure out a way to do it, okay? You know, I noticed that the sheriff doesn't have but $50,000 in there for cars. Why do we not give them 3 cars a year? That don't make any sense either. They got to have cars to do their job, but we're only giving them $50,000. Will that buy a car? No, it won't. I mean, come on, people. We owe the citizens what they need or what they deserve, what they should get. Okay. And then on the airport, is the 1.2 million upgrade? Is that done with grants? All of it's grant money?
Yes.
Okay.
95.5.
So those are my questions. Those are my comments. I think that we should not take action on this tonight, that we should move into discussion, talk about how we can do what we need to do to make this county the way it needs to be. That is my opinion, and thank you very much.
If I could just say one thing about your private act.
Sure.
The full county commission can't meet and vote and start working on it themselves until it is voted on as presented by the budget committee.
Okay.
So your private act says the budget committee does have to present one, and the county commission does have to vote on that. Then if they fail to pass it, then the full commission works on it.
But where does it say that we can't meet and talk about it before we get there?
Well, that's what the budget committee meetings are for all the commissioners are welcome there and they're able to speak. At every meeting I've been to, they've been allowed to speak and ask questions. But that's what your private, I'm just letting you know about what you gotta do based on your private.
And I've read the private act, and you know, if we don't pass it, then we can't take away from it. We can only add to it. We can change the tax rate and add to it, but we can't do anything with any of the money that's already been done. To me, that ain't the way we will be doing it, but you know, there's got to be a compromise somewhere. That's all I got.
Well, great question.
Yes, sir.
Wasn't it just last year that we picked the first budget and we had a second budget to vote on?
Yep, you sent it back to the budget committee, and that was in opposition to your private act. That's not what your private act says. It was done incorrectly.
May I respond to Terry?
Yes, you may.
In defense of the airport, I have to say that I know a young man that didn't have a good home life. And it's right here in Benton County. His mother was on drugs. His sister got on drugs and ended up ODing and dying. But he buckled down and made something of himself. And he did learn to be a pilot, and he is making megabucks up in Delta. That is Delta Airlines right now. That is one that instance of what training to be a pilot can do for the young people here if they are interested in making that kind of career. And I mean, I'm sure he's making an extremely nice salary. He's been up there several years now in Nashville working for Delta. And I agree with you as far as the sheriff's department is. We promised him a new car when the budget's passed in exchange for the insurance money that he got for the 2 cars that were wrecked. That he was supposed to go toward him getting a new car. And I know he needs more than 1 car. So we do need to come up with some money to provide the sheriff's office with the cars that they need for the officers to drive. And 50,000, I don't believe is going to get it. That's all I got to say.
Commissioner Price?
Okay, good. I didn't know it was in the, okay, good.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, fellow commissioners, and valued citizens. I would like to talk about a couple of items. I know Commissioner Preston and Commissioner Keene have covered some of the things I was going to address, and I'm glad you did. Thank you. All of you know it's no secret I'm pro law enforcement. I come from law enforcement. I know what it means to go out and face some of the things that these folks out here face on a daily basis. We don't hear about a lot of it, do we? Unless you got a scanner, then you don't know the whole story. There's a whole lot of things they do. And I can't think of enough for what our law enforcement team in this county does. But you know what? We've said a lot about law enforcement. You know how I feel. I think we ought to do better for them. I'm not going to beat that horse to death. But there's another group that I would like to speak for, and that's our senior citizens. These ladies right here have stuck around for a reason. I need some clarification, please, on account 56300, senior citizens, line item 599. Now, my understanding is, I know we, Commissioner Melton has talked to us about moving those monies out of the 99 other category, miscellaneous category. Understand that. Help me out, Commissioner Melton. I see 2023 was budgeted at $5,000, and I see there was an estimate of $10,391, and they asked for $10,000 for 2024. They received $1,000. I don't see an increase in any other line item. Then help me out.
We increased to 99 because the auditors
Right.
do not like it, don't want anything in 99. We did not have any other information from them until just the other day when I talked with Carol and I told her that they were paying utilities and things of that nature. And I explained to her that what we needed to do was we needed to get those monies in the correct line items. And but the budget had already been passed for that time. But after the comptroller approves the budget, we can make budget amendments then and set monies into the correct line items that need to be. She did tell me tonight, when I was talking with her, that the utilities other than communications, something else, have been moved into building maintenance. So into the county's line item for all the county buildings. So they would not be responsible for that. But that's the only way we really can take action to get these back in, is we've got to get the chart accounts from Ms. Brasher, find out what needs to go in what line items, and then we can do that.
I'd like to call on one of you ladies, if you don't mind speaking, help me with line item 599. What came out of that historically? Come on up.
Well, that's where we get all our supplies to run the senior center fund. We're 2 offices in one. We're Office on Aging, and it's totally different. That's where we provide home maker service, Meals on Wheels, telephone reassurance. That's where we prepare for our 3 audits a year with the Office on Aging. The senior center is totally separate. The 599 gives us our bingo prizes, our paper plates, cups, forks, anything we need to run the senior center. We are a little bit different from the other offices because our job is to provide activities and events for seniors. That's what we do, and without it, we can't do it. We have no supplies But Mr. Melton had told me and explained to me that when July comes, that we can, the budget committee can put these in line items for us.
I just don't want this to drop through the cracks. Our senior citizens, and I'm one of them, believe it or not, I know I don't look like it, but I'm one of them. And that's near and dear to me, just like law enforcement. They provide a service that a whole lot of people would not be willing to do. It's the least we can do, and those of you that can help in any way, let's make sure that happens for our senior citizens.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Asher?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Asher, do we need to have the senior citizen and the criminal agent separated? Because they're being commingled.
Are they being run separately? Are they being run by the same people?
Yes.
Then I would leave them
Maybe
together.
I just want to be sure we didn't need to separate.
Okay.
Let me just say, COVID about killed us. I thought we were gonna go under, but we've come back better and stronger, and we do appreciate all the help y'all give us. But we just wanna make sure that we get our money back in the line item so we can function and keep going. That's all we're asking.
Thank you. And we just want to make sure that that doesn't fall through somehow, so. That's about all I've got. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Roseanne looked at this book, she said, I hope you're not gonna talk about every one of them tabs that you put on there. And you're right, I'm not, because a lot of them have been already covered by Rocky and Commissioner King. Some of it, I went to some of the budget committee meetings, and I just had a few questions, and a lot of them have been answered. One of them, I understand the airport situation. The flight school would be great. I think we've got a lot of kids that could benefit from it that wants to go into those better paying jobs. Refer back to page 100, and I noticed here that there's a footnote over here, and it's 715 land, Jordan property, or Jordan, according to which one of the family you talk to, is Jordan or Jordan. 75,000. Are we purchasing more property out with our airport?
That's site development money in case we do need to purchase property.
Okay, so we haven't entered into no. I knew nothing come before the property committee.
No.
The runway, taxi runway, 860,000. That would grant money. I understand you spoke about that. Then on page 53. This is other government revenue funds. I guess maybe I confused. I know there's a thing here. It says the land, Dunbarton land, 225,000. What is that?
Let's let Miss Jennifer Wheatley answer that for you, if you don't mind. She's in the audience.
The Dunbarton property is essentially a buffer lot that sits between the existing Dunbarton facility and the vacant lot next to it, where the inmate garden was. So the Dunbarton property is between those two. It was originally given to the Dunbarton Corporation in an expansion attempt. That was many years before us. And they have not expanded. As a matter of fact, their needs have decreased. We need that land to put together 25-acre minimum lots for sale in the industrial park. So that's 14 acres there that if I pair it with what was the old inmate garden, I've got a lot I can sell.
Yeah.
And I've got well, that's what I mean, is lots I can sell.
Well, I tried to look it up in property data and I couldn't find a Dunbarton property. So
Yeah, well, it's the Dunbarton property, they're willing to let us buy it from you.
that was one of my
It's the property across from Jones Plastic in the industrial park.
Okay, I might be typing it. I just typed it in like this was, and I couldn't
We
find
need to be able to have a 20 or 25 acre lot because every RFP she gets starts at 25 and goes up. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything more from me?
You done good.
All right.
I highly recommend you. On juvenile services, I understand that where we was talking about But let me just go back to the one I asked Mark Florence about on the, when we was talking about the $400,000 of contracted services. I don't want to be a broken record. I think we need more help at the sheriff department. I think our deputies need more pay. If you get out and ride around and look at some of the things I see, they've got some places they need more help to when they go to them. Our school resource officers, I understand there's a big issue about who's going to be school resource officers. Are they going to be city officers? Are they going to be county officers? Who's going to get that money? Mr. Florence, has 400,000 there, or 175 and something else. We're still waiting on money from the state to come in. In my opinion, which is my opinion, I've told you 1,000 times, it may not mean nothing, but school resource officers, all of our county schools, we don't have any city schools. We have county buildings. We have county schools. And I understand that we have some school resource officers that are through the county city now. And I understand that I was concerned when I was told that we had a mock shooter training, and none of the city officers came to that. Yet they are the school resource officers that we have. I don't know why they didn't. Maybe somebody can enlighten me that. But I think we need to be looking at who our school resource officers are going to answer to. If there's county schools, should they or should they not be county officers? I think our officers do need a little bit more raise. It's getting harder and harder to get it. And I want to tell you right now, I commend every person that sits on that budget committee. I mean, 3 of you ended up in the hospital. I mean, it's a tough job. And I commend the work that you've done. I believe, like Mr. King said, that maybe we do need to just kind of take it back a week or so to study this a little bit more and have a little more questions that we can, decide exactly where, and answer any questions we might find as you go through it. But once we approve it, it's pretty well there, probably. So that's just my opinion, and I thank you for listening to me.
But if we decline it, we can't do nothing to go forward. Is that correct? We can't move
If
nothing.
it does not pass, then the full county commission has to have another meeting, and the whole commission has to set a new budget.
We can't pull from here, move from here. All we can do is find other money to change it.
You can add to the numbers, but you cannot subtract.
You can't, but you can't pull from nothing. What you're saying. So,
If you recess this meeting, you could go back before the budget meeting to have another budget meeting before the vote.
No, they have voted on it as the one to be presented to the full commission. So it has to be voted on by the commission because it's the one the budget committee has submitted.
I would like to say something if I could before y'all vote. We've worked for 2 months on this. We've had 20 to 25 budget meetings when everyone from the public and especially the commissioners could have input on this. There's been input from a lot of people and they've worked very hard. I mean, I'm really proud of the budget committee for doing as much work as they've done. I didn't realize that the process was so strenuous. I really didn't. And if everybody would come to those meetings, they would see what they've done. Is it a perfect budget? I don't think so. Are we raising taxes? No. Has everybody got what they deserve? Probably not. Have we done better than the last 4 or 5 years? Definitely so. The sheriff's getting $1 million more than he got. He's been asking ever since he's been here for more money. They've worked hard. We've got investment income that's come in of about $400,000. We've taken $600,000 from the schools to try to help the sheriff. We've given them a $1.50 hour raise through this budget. I haven't, but the budget committee and you guys. A $1.50 hour raise gets us up to the top of all the counties around us on the deputies and the COs. But they didn't just give it to them, they give it to everybody that works there. If you vote for this budget. All I'm saying is we've come up with $50,000 more for the inmates' health care. We've come up with $169,000 more for ambulance service that we didn't have to come up with last year. I think it's an ongoing thing, And I don't think that you can correct all the problems in 1 year. I would respectfully ask y'all to just vote for this budget. Let's move forward, see how all this works, and next year, maybe we can all be more involved in the process to give input, because it helps so much to have input from the way people see things differently. But I would just ask y'all, I think everybody's worn out from this process, to keep stretching it out. I know in the past, even when I was a commissioner, and Terry can vouch for that, we've not passed a budget till October. And when you stretch it out all year working on the budget, what else can you get done? You can't get anything done because you're working on the budget. I would like to move forward, and I think that they've done a fair job on this budget. I'm very proud of them. And I would respectfully ask y'all to vote for that, and let's move forward. And we will be thinking about this all year. We will be having input with each other all year and try to come up with more money for next year. Thank you.
I have a question for Ms. Lori. If this budget doesn't pass and it goes to the full commission, all they can do is add to the budget. Will that mean a property tax increase to cover that if that passed?
Yeah, right now you have $70,000 positive in the general fund.
Mm-hmm.
So once you hit $70,000 of additional expenditures, then you will have to add taxes. I will say, as far as calculating the revenue, the state has a revenue estimator. I was just sitting here and running some numbers through the revenue estimators, the state and local government's actual spreadsheet. You go all the way back to 17, and you put in a tax that you're wanting to see what you're supposed to put in the budget. I put in 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22 is audited, and then what you're on track to bring in for 23. It does an estimator that's a spreadsheet. It runs its own calculations, and it comes up with what number you're supposed to put in this coming budget. And they are requiring that these estimators this time be submitted along with the budget. They're wanting proof of where you came up with the numbers. And the only one I've done so far while we were sitting here was the general fund TVA fund, the TVA revenues. And we are $6,130 different from what the state's revenue estimator says we should put in there. So we could run that on every single thing. I would, even the big ones. I've tried to run it on a lot of the big ones before tonight as part of the budget process. So as far as coming up with more revenues, based on these revenue estimators, I don't think we'll be able to put in a lot of extra money, which goes back to your question. Then the only way to fund it is by raising property taxes.
Thank you.
Ms. Lori, can you tell us how much AP generates?
Yeah, and it's actually in your budget too. It'll be right after the resolution, but I'll have right here handy. Your property taxes generate $28,251 per penny. And if you collected everything 100%, it's only $30,000.
And just like someone else said, our property taxes have already went up. This seems like from Facebook and everything else, the value of your homes went up because you changed things. And I guess that's a legal move. The individuals can look in your home and Facebook will tell you, hey, you got some new floors. So we've already got a property tax increase already. We had $340,000 last year, and how much more now this year? By just this fact.
I don't know what the total amount would be because I have the total amount for all the funds together. I can compare the last year. Let's see, the total collectible $7.7 million. Last year it was.
In other words, I think we've had enough property tax increase already.
Which of course is not really a rate increase, it's just a
Not really,
value.
but it's an increase.
Yeah. Which that's due to the market. Now the market is changing and it's expected that the market's gonna go back down.
We're gonna stay where we're at, I'm sure. We'll readjust on that.
Let's see. This year, 7705, last year, 7,643. So you're looking at $62,000 in total.
You know, like it said, like Margaret said, Mary said, budget has worked hard on this year, and I have gotten a lot of answers. Talking to Terry and listening to Rocky, and it sounds like Mark and them's got it halfway worked out. A few things I'm not a fan of, and I will say, do we think this airport thing, if it don't work out, do we keep feeding the fuel, or
No,
we shut it down?
I never asked you for that at budget. I said, give us a year or two, and if we're not self-sufficient, cut it out. I mean, I can't be any more fair than that.
That's it. Yeah, that's what
If it works for us and we get self-sufficient and we're starting to bring money in and these kids are, taking flight lessons and all that, it's gonna be wonderful. If it's not, cut it out.
You're pretty satisfied, man, with the senior citizen side of it, your explanation of it, things of that nature. Everything's pretty well been explained. Sheriff, you got any extra bucks?
$10 million.
You didn't?
Hey, we can let Lori tell where he's got extra money and how much it is over last year's budget.
Yeah, I'll be glad to do that. I'll start with the ARPA money, the Fund 127, because improvements and that kind of thing, you can spend out of the ARPA money. So, and the notes are there actually in your budget. Like I said, if you look at Fund 127, there's $150,000 for a jail Sally Port modification. There's $10,000 for communication equipment for the sheriff's office. There's $60,000 for data processing equipment for the sheriff's office. There is $175,000 for SRO law enforcement equipment. $12,000 for law enforcement equipment sheriff's office. $30,000 for law enforcement equipment, including fire extinguishers, AEDs, and vehicle equipment for the sheriff's office. $9,000 for law enforcement equipment for the jail. $50,000 for motor vehicles for law enforcement cars. And that's what's included in Fund 127. In Fund 101, which is before the 127, the total changes for the sheriff's department are in the sheriff's office. It is an increase from the prior year budget of $211,567. And in the jail, it is an increase from the prior year budget of $261,801.
So how many people work in the jail? If you said there's 216,000, you say in the jail?
261 in the jail department.
So how many people work in there? An increase of 260. How many employees? 32, 36, 12, about $4,000 increase per person or something like that.
That's not all salaries. That's the sheriff's department and the jail. That's an increase over last year's budget. The salaries was $1.50. The salaries were $1.50 per employee per hour.
Pretty good.
So if you add up all the large purchases, the modifications and equipment, that kind of thing, and the changes in their total departments, their normal operating departments, it's a difference of $969,368.
Michelle, what do we pay? What do we pay for an officer comp out?
It's $16.82 right
Comp out?
now.
And now it's gonna be 19,2005, right?
1862, well, that'd be more than that. It'd be 2005.
Paris makes 21, right at 2020. They got 3 times the people and 3 times the, I know we got a lot of roads. That's pretty good, don't you think, or not? $20-something? You don't think it is? I know it's a tough job. What?
They're getting it.
Parents is? Yeah, I thought the officer there was. Right here.
You helped with the increases were hearing.
Yeah, I've got all of them. I've got, now this, all counties are working on their budgets right now, so this is all subject to change. Stewart County, top out deputy is $15.46. CO's top out is $12.14. Decatur County, the top out for a deputy is $19.73. CO is $15.12. Perry County is $17 across the board. Houston County deputy top out is $20. CO top out, I don't have the top out, I have starting at $13. Humphreys County deputy top out is $18. CO top out is $15.50. Wayne County deputy top out is $21.07. They've had a big increase in their budget this time. I knew that because I'm helping with the budget. And their CO top out is $15.68. Henry County top out deputy is $21.38. CO top out is $16.87. Carroll County deputy top out is $19.17. And CO top out is $16.28. I have averages of all of that if you want.
So we're in the ballpark.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this is
We're right
actually
at the
on
top.
the top. Yeah.
Sheriff, you're recognized.
Yes, ma'am. As she said, all of these are in budget column, and all of them I've talked to so far are asking for quite a bit of raises on each one of those. Some of those are higher than us, some are lower. I know Stewart County is settled on theirs. I don't know the percentage that they got. I don't know what they asked for. But almost, I do know Humphreys County, that the rate that they're asking for, I don't know exactly how much that is.
No, they didn't get it. I'm at the Humphreys County, they didn't get it.
I don't know, I spoke with them over there, they said they did, so I don't.
They asked for $10 an hour, is what the sheriff asked for, was $10 an hour plus 3%. And the full commission is the one that does, working on their budget, and they said you get the 3% max. So.
I was just told by that
Yeah.
board that they settled that over there, so I'm incorrect on that, but all the counties around are asking for raises. So these numbers here are not exact, because we don't know who's gonna get the raises and who's not. But I do know that we're making $18.62, the city makes $20.50 or $21.50, whatever it is, and they're getting a raise this year, according to the chief. And also, the city, it's the city, gonna do 6 new cars. They probably put 1/5 of the miles on what we did. And that's good, I'm glad they're getting cars, we got decent equipment, but it's things like that that's gonna make the break with the car. And just saying, these numbers, you can't look at them because they're not real numbers. Everybody's put in for raises. I've been speaking with several of the sheriffs that are around us, and all of them have had to ask for raises because it's so hard to get officers. It's so hard to get in. When I say officers, I mean correction officers as well. They're just not there. And the state's not helping us any, because come July 1, THP is going to start this big hiring thing they've got going on. And they're going to take a tremendous raise. I want to say it's like 30-something% they're going to go up. And also the state is way ahead of us for correction pay. And we can't compete with that, and they know that. If we send people to the academy, and they've already got the academy behind them, then the state can come in and they've only got to take 10 or 12 week course, and they can go right into PhD. So that's hurting all the counties, especially rural. So we have to be as competitive as we can be, money-wise, to try to keep them, because I don't remember what the exact amount is, but the highway patrol guys are already doing well, just right out of the academy. It's going to hurt us. We know we'll lose officers, and all the surrounding counties know they will.
Commissioner Price?
Sheriff, I know we've touched on this before, but I'd like to cover it again. Have you lost deputies in any of the counties? Which one?
Lost in Carroll County, we lost in Humphrey County, COs and officers, we lost in DSP, we lost mostly to city. The majority of them to county, city, some to, different cities around, we lost one the other day to Bruce.
So Sheriff Gray over in Stewart County, he's looking on. Sheriff Fry also has a difficulty over in Henry County.
He's had less problems than any around, but he still is.
So everybody,
It's mostly pay and benefits, what all the sheriffs are, telling me, same issues we've got. It's the same as everybody else, we're all, that's what it is, it's time.
I'm gonna speak to that, that's gonna make some people mad. I've had the opportunity to speak to at least 4 officers, and because I'm in the public all the time, and something all the time, a lot of them says it wasn't on the page, I promise you. And, then I've talked to 1 or 2, and it was just certain things. I spoke, you probably seen one, we gonna mention no names, at the Jeep rally. I spoke to one in Benton County Plumbing the other day. I spoke to one over at Paris the other day. It's not all money, I promise you. And I understand that as a DOL for the military, being in a leadership role. I understand, there's a lot of finessing to do and things of that nature to provide good information. But I don't make you mad.
Yeah, I think
Speaking on bicycle, but anyways. Really, a lot of it is some internal issues that that's there. I don't make you mad, I'm just
you're
telling
not
you.
making it.
I spoke to,
I know you're hand picking the people you're talking to.
no, I'm not, I swear to goodness, I promise you're not handpicking
Yeah, I know who you spoke to.
Well, you've seen one, but you didn't see one big county, you didn't see two over Paris. And it's just coincidence, really. It was just coincidence, and I talked to, I can't remember, not Lockhart, but the other one up here one day about one of the boys that we talked about the incident. And, that's the reason I worked with. But, money's a big factor, but, and in-house management too is a lot of factors too.
That's why I'm up here fighting.
I know.
Trying to get a break.
And again, right after.
I'm bad, man.
I'm being bad. You ain't a bad man, you say that, it's just things
Well,
are good. But
if you're their boss, you're not gonna like everybody.
you're not gonna make nobody happy, I promise you.
Right, you're the bad guy.
I'm always the bad guy. Sometimes some people like to be slapped around.
Moving on.
I can clarify something, and I'm not against at all the sheriff's department getting more than $1.50. I wish we could give it to you. But you mentioned the city officers were getting a raise. They're getting a 2% raise, which when you figure that out to their top out pay at $20, that's less than $1.50 than what you're getting this year. So they're really getting less than what you're getting.
But they're still ahead of them.
Top out pay at $20.50.
Okay.
$20.50. According to the chief, that's top out pay.
That's what he's talking.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the point.
Where are we at on
And
top out?
what I'm just trying to say is the $1.50 for each one of you is better than what they are getting at 2%. It turns out to be better.
It'd be actually 2012 based on what I was given before. It was 1862, and then $1.50 would make it 2012.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
We're comparing them to the other counties, and I know a lot of the officers that works there. I know a lot of people that's left. I can count 2 that I know that went to Humphreys County, but I can count a lot more of them that went to the city of County. A lot more of them went to Brewston and a lot of your city departments. Now, when you go to a city department, you $23 an hour starting off with Brewston. Well, I can walk across their covered area. a very short period of time, what they got to patrol in Bruce, you know. Now, I don't know what they're gonna do when Charlie's Barbecue closes, I mean, about eating, you know, they're gonna be limited. But it, you know, might make it a harder place to work at, if you can go get the barbecue. But, you know, they're patrolling a smaller area. You take an officer, that's gotta go 63 miles from one end to the other. I talked to her one other day, she went all the way to Sugar Tree, her backup was 45 minutes away. Folks, you don't wanna go in places 45 minutes away when you ain't got no backup. I mean, the other one was on a call out here at the desk, so the other two was covering that, they had to take the call up there. You know, why do we have to be right at? Why do we have to be a little below? Why can't we be the best? We got the best electric company in the country. You know, but we pay them good, or they get paid good, and they're out there protecting. When your electricity goes off, you're tickled to death to see. You know, then you grab when you get your electric bill, but you're using that. But when you need a police officer that you're 45 minutes away, you want somebody's going to be able to be there. Folks, if you get out and look around what's coming around us and what's migrating in Benton County, you're going to need those officers. I don't want to raise taxes on anybody. It affects me just like it does everybody else. You know, I've argued with everybody that always says, well, we raised our taxes a little bit. I explained to Mr. King, well, your value of your property goes up. Your property is your investment that you buy. You know, you don't want to buy a house and it go down to $20,000. You want it to be worth $200,000. So you're going to have to pay taxes based on that investment going up, just like you would your stocks and your money you make on your stocks. Our sheriff department, these folks sitting back there, when you pick up the phone and call 911, you want them to be coming to see you. You don't want them to be sitting down there and, you know, going somewhere else and then have to retrain somebody and they don't have a clue where Shag Rag Road is. They don't know where Fax is at. You know, I waited on an officer one day that's new and they didn't know where I was at on that road. That was a new officer. I had to call him on his cell phone and tell him how to get there because it was a new road on the map. You know, I don't want to see us have to raise taxes. I think $1.50, you know, a raise. I think the officers and the COs deserve a bigger raise. Now, does everybody get the same amount of raise? I think everybody's department's a little different, and everybody don't always deserve the same amount of raise across the board. I don't want to make nobody mad by saying that, because each of you got different duties. You know, a welder makes a little bit more than the guy that cleans up after. So that's my concern. Again, I commend the budget committee because I think they've done a good job trying their best to come up with a budget. It's an estimate. I do think that we should put more money for raises in the deputies and the CRO. And that's just my personal opinion. You know, I'm not, you know, you can say, well, I'm just on Kenny's bandwagon. I've known Kenny for 25 years. He's been sheriff 3 terms. I voted for him for 1. You know, and we've been friends the whole time. So, I mean, it ain't, you know, that's just my opinion. I think that they need some money in that budget line item. That's me.
Mr. Stokes, and then I'm going to recognize you, and then we're going to take a 10-minute break.
Sure. I was just going to say, speaking to what Keith was mentioning there, the sheriff at every law enforcement committee meeting has said that his biggest need was the correctional officers and the deputies. So that's what I hope to help him to get behind, you know, so that we can try to fix that pay gap there first as an investment to try to generate more money in our jail through state prisoners, and then look to increase salaries across the board in subsequent years. And I'm still hoping that he'll be open to that because all of his employees do deserve a raise. I'm not trying to pick and choose, you know, which positions to get that, but he has identified that as a need in every. So I do hope that we can be hopeful in getting you there. If not this year, perhaps in the future.
Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute break. Mr. Miller and Commissioner Miller, and Commissioner Arnold, and Commissioner Kenningston, Commissioner King.
I called Kenny out, he's used to it. Do it every week.
You did.
That's,
We're gonna have.
Mark? Is that your phone? You can take your speaker back on too. Everybody.
Like that. We're paying for
Okay, I think everyone's back in here, so we're going to resume the meeting. Okay, we've had a lot of discussion. Is there anyone else before we vote? Commissioner King.
Madam Chairman, me and Phil talked about, looking at, amending our private act to kind of get it to where it works for us instead of against us like it does now. I would like to propose that we work on that, to update it to our needs, in the near future.
I agree.
Okay, I think we all agree.
I'll make a motion. If you need it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can't do that right now. Yeah.
Okay.
We can
Okay.
at our June meeting, we can bring that up. I would like to say thank you to the budget committee because I came to a lot of the meetings. I didn't get to come to all of them. It's like Terry said, we do have other lives and I have grandchildren that play ball. So I didn't get to come to all the meetings. But when I came, I saw how hard the budget committee worked. And I'll have to say, I think this was probably one of the hardest years for the budget committee. And I'd just like to say thank you, and I think they did their best. Anyone else? Okay, then it's time to vote. We're voting on resolution 1. You got the motion in a second. Okay, so, roll call please on the vote.
Jimmy Kenniston,
Yes.
Mike Nunnery,
Yes.
Daryl Hicks,
Yes.
Jerry Price,
No.
Terry King,
No.
Keith Arnold,
No.
Stephen Stokes,
Yes.
Marty Douglas,
Yes.
Deborah Bain,
Yes.
Kenneth Miller,
Yes.
Rocky Preston,
No.
Brett Burt,
Yes.
Frank Lashley,
Yes.
Gary Fur,
Yes.
Dwayne Fowler,
Yes.
Sonny Hall,
No.
Phil Melton, Roseanne Ward.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change their vote? 13 yes, 5 no.
Okay. Resolution 1 is passed. So we're gonna move on to Resolution 2, which is the resolution fixing the tax levy in Benton County, Tennessee for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023. Need a motion? Motion by Commissioner Stokes and a second by Commissioner Melton. All right. Floor is open for discussion or questions about this resolution. Do we have any? Okay, since there are none, roll call vote, please.
Jimmy Kinnison,
Yes.
Mike Nunnery,
Yes.
Daryl Hicks,
Yes.
Terry Price,
Yes.
Terry King,
Yes.
Keith Arnold,
Yes.
Stephen Stokes,
Yes.
Marty Douglas,
Yes.
Deborah Bain,
Yes.
Kenneth Miller,
Yes.
Rocky Preston,
Yes.
Brett Burt,
Yes.
Frank Lashley,
Yes.
Gary Fur,
Yes.
Dwayne Fowler,
Yes.
Sunny Hall,
Yes.
Bill Melton,
Yes.
Roseanne Ward.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change their vote? Motion carries. 18 yes.
Resolution 3 is a resolution making appropriations to nonprofit charitable organizations of Benton County, Tennessee for the year beginning July 1, 2023 and ending June 30, 2024. Need a motion and a second. Motion by Commissioner Melton, second by Commissioner Stokes. Any questions? Okay. I see none, so, roll call vote, please.
Jimmy Kinnison,
Yes.
Mike Nunnery,
Yes.
Daryl Hicks, Terry Price,
Yes.
Terry King,
Yes.
Keith Arnold,
Yes.
Stephen Stokes,
Yes.
Marty Douglas,
Yes.
Deborah Bain,
Yes.
Kenneth Miller,
Yes.
Rocky Preston,
Yes.
Brett Burt,
Yes.
Frank Lashley,
Yes.
Gary Fur,
Yes.
Dwayne Fowler,
Yes.
Sunny Hall,
Yes.
Bill Melton, Roseanne Ward.
Yes.
Anyone wish to change their vote? 18 yes, motion carries.
Okay, we don't have any other business for tonight, so we need a motion to adjourn. Okay. Second? Okay. Motion and second. Stokes and Arnold, yeah.
Whoever you want to.
I'm not.
Go there.